Hey all, and welcome back to NTom and Volk's Spot of PC. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bloons TD5. This is it was originally a browser-based tower defense game, and then I believe they spruced it up a bit, Volk, is that correct?
Yep, that is pretty much correct. It started out as a Flash game. You may have found it on the likes of Miniclip, G Prime, Newgrounds, or wherever your trusted Flash-based compilation website comes from, I suppose. This is a very, very fun little game. Probably one of the first proper tower defense games I got introduced to. Between this and Warcraft 3 custom games, this was pretty much where I got my tower defense fixings back in the day. It wasn't a hugely popular genre, at least not enough to kind of have like its own proper game built around it. So it kind of fell into the custom games in RTSs and in Flash-based games like this, because they're pretty simple to do, and there are a lot of games similar to this, but Bloons TD kind of won out just with its colourful charm, the fact that you use monkeys as your towers and they throw shurikens, darts, and all that kind of thing. It's just a very colourful, fun, charming little game, and I think that kind of what helped it become as popular as it was and become the choice tower defense game for a lot of people.
Yeah. No, the game is developed by Ninja Kiwi. I'm not entirely sure what else they've done, so I'll just open that in a new tab. But as for the conceit of Bloons tower defense, in the game, players attempt to prevent balloons, called Bloons in-game, from reaching the end of a set course by placing towers along it, units which can pop the balloons in a variety of ways. It is possible to freeze and, in later levels, glue the balloons, giving other towers more time to pop them. Money is gained by popping balloons and completing levels, and can be spent on extra towers or upgrades for existing ones or even special items, such as exploding pineapples and monkey tax.
Ah yes, the monkey tax can be the saving grace for you. They often go underestimated, but when you got that one rogue balloon that just managed to get past your defenses, those things will save your ass. There's actually a dual currency system in this game, and as you complete levels you earn monkey dollars, I believe, is the official term. And you use those in the main hub menu, and you can use those to buy agents, which are one-time advanced towers that you can build to help you out along your way. You can also use it to purchase perks and upgrades for your towers, outside of the usual upgrading you can do for them. And there's also a leveling system in this game as well, where as you gain more experience by popping balloons, you unlock new towers, and you unlock upgrades for your existing towers by using them. So it's one of those games where you kind of you're encouraged to use everything. So it's not just a case of, ooh, this tower looks strong, I'll just spam these forever. It's more of a case of different levels allow for different towers to shine. And as you use those more, they obviously get better, and you may be able to use them in more situations as a result of that.
Right.
And I guess that was another reason why I quite like this game as well, because I like games that have kind of multiple layers to them, and you can kind of individually customize your own experience, and if you get into the advanced parts of the game, then that will ultimately allow you to get through like the harder difficulties or the challenge modes that it also provides.
Now I'm noticing this doesn't seem to be too challenging, so what exactly, point-wise, are we going to be playing up to in this episode of Spot PC, Mo?
Well, we're going to be skipping ahead quite a bit in this one. It's, obviously, the initial stages aren't too interesting, but they give you a nice precedent to kind of figure out, okay, so this is how the game works, and they throw more advanced balloons at you later on. So we're going to be aiming to get right to the end, and then I'm going to show you just how insane things can get if you decide to play on after you complete a level. So apart from, obviously, you have your towers with all their different effects, as you upgrade your towers, some of the maximum upgrades allow you access to special abilities that are on a passive cooldown. So these could range anywhere from being able to summon a phoenix that can rain death from above on any unsuspecting balloons that might think they're too tough for your defenses, or you got missiles that can instantly KO blimps, because blimps are a thing in this game. And they are indeed incredibly fearsome. But apart from that, you've also got passive upgrades you can do as well. Like there's the Monkey Tower, which will provide various buffs. And you've also got the Banana Bank, which will give you more bananas in which to spend on towers. They're kind of like your additional money makers if the simple idea of popping balloons isn't quite proving to be lucrative enough. And it's one of those things that becomes nearly essential later on as the balloons start coming at you harder, faster, and more furious. And I suppose on that note, I can actually get down to the balloons themselves. So obviously what we got at the moment is relatively simple. It's different coloured balloons are obviously stronger than others, so your reds are like your 1 health point balloons, blues are your 2s, but later on they start throwing curveballs at you. So they'll throw regenerative balloons at you that can regenerate layers over time. So if you don't pop them quickly enough, they'll just regenerate and they'll just bypass all your defenses.
Right, yeah.
And then you've got camo balloons, which are your cloaked variation, and they'll sneak by your defenses if you don't have some kind of true sight, like a monkey ninja or an appropriately upgraded tower with some kind of camo detection. You've also got lead balloons, which shouldn't exist, really, when you think about it, but those are balloons that can only be hurt by specific things, and they'll split off into regular balloons after you get through the lead layer, obviously. So you'll have to be careful for those. You've also got ceramic balloons, which are... they're not exactly like lead balloons, but they are just generally a lot tougher. It takes a lot more health to break into that layer.
I don't honestly see the point of lead or ceramic balloons. Why are balloons even attacking monkeys in the first place? Did I miss, like, lore, essential story, backstory, mythos in the first 4 Bloons games?
Well, monkeys, I think, have been known to hate things for no real cause or reason. I think just balloons was the latest thing on their list or something like that. Or who knows, maybe there's like some menacing balloon lord that's sort of like standing on top of a volcano laughing maniacally as he sends lead balloons down at people to terrorize the nation.
Yeah, but the monkeys are defending here. The balloons are the aggressors.
Yeah, so obviously the balloons are evil, and they must be stopped, and the only way that they can be stopped is by monkeys that have been trained specifically in dart throwing.
You didn't answer my question at all, you just deflected and flipped things around.
Okay, the truth is I don't actually know the reason why the balloons are attacking the monkeys. Alright, you got me.
Fair enough, it was the worst of time, it was the blurst of times, you stupid monkey.
Well, I suppose they're at least being productive. You know, it doesn't matter if there's just one guy, that this is all just in part of a zoo enclosure, and just one guy goes, hang on, I got an idea as to what these keep those little bastards occupied. And it's just one guy just blowing millions upon millions of balloons and just kind of gently prodding them in the direction of the enclosure.
I'm not gonna lie, mate, I can never say no to you, because you are Bay, and this is NTom and Volk spotted PC, not just NTom talks a bit and lets Volk do all the work, so if you want to pick a game, I say why not most of the time, but this seems a bit overly simple, so is it going to get deeper as we go on?
Oh yeah, certainly. Most of the depth comes in the later levels, especially when they start throwing all the blimps at you, especially. And it mostly comes down to strategic placement, and the reason why I actually wanted to cover this game, apart from obviously me liking tower defense games and wanting to start off with something relatively simple, it's also just to sort of a general appreciation for Flash games in general, and this was like the first one that I really got into. And, you know, it got me into tower defense on the whole, so this was what helped me eventually get into games like Dungeon Defenders, Defense Grid, and there's a couple others as well. Oh yeah, Sanctum was another good one I remember playing. It's something that I feel like doesn't really get appreciated very much in general, and this is Spot a PC, and I feel like giving some appreciations to Flash games that just made those school days just a little less monotonous, and showed them a bit of appreciations, and Bloons TD is definitely at the top of that list for me.
So, if we're gonna cover, like, fucking Flash games and whatnot, when are we gonna do Cartoon Network Summer Vacation?
Well, we can always cover it as one of your choices at any point if you really want to.
Well, it's actually Summer Resort. I'm not even entirely sure if it's still working right now, but there must be a way to find it. There must be.
Oh, I would wager so. I mean, it's on the internet. Usually if it's on the internet, it's there forever, much to the misfortune of other people that really wish it wasn't.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the variety of colours in the balloons. Now, you had my curiosity. Now you've got my attention.
Now we're getting to the point where they're sending in the likes of rainbow balloons and those ceramic ones I was mentioning before. So this is where the game gets very, very tricky, because obviously you're munching your way through these hardcore balloons, which then split off into several hundred regular balloons, and you have to make sure you got the firepower to take them all out. And that's where the game starts to get tricky, because it just starts throwing different variations of these things at you, and obviously you've got camo to look out for, and there'll be some balloons that might be immune to being frozen, so that's another thing that could potentially throw you off if you're not careful. So a lot of the game is mostly in kind of leveling things up and trying different combinations and seeing what works, and it kind of gives you starts giving you the basic understanding of how tower defenses games in general work. And I guess that's why they wanted to keep it simple, because if this is for many people, this ends up being like the first tower defense game they played, just because it was incredibly popular at the time. It's very colourful, it's very charming, it's very happy. You know, you're just bursting balloons. It's a nice, fun time.
Yeah.
And later on, you do have the likes of Defense Grid, where they do tend to throw some very complicated mechanics and such at you. And for some people, that can be, I guess, a little bit too much, or at least overwhelming, unless they have that initial experience. And I think that's where Bloons TD kind of helped fill that hole. And I get to show off the Super Monkey as well, which is by far like the best tower in the game.
What the fuck?
I fast forwarded a little bit to show you like the last 4 rounds of this particular map on hard. So yeah, now they're throwing the blimps at you.
Okay, I take back everything I said about the game being like slapdash or overly simple. This is pretty hype.
So the blimps come in 3 different varieties. Usually the first ones come in the mid-40s, the blue one, and that's called the Mother of All Bloons, or the MAOB, or the MOAB rather. And the red ones are actually called Big Friggin' Bloons, I believe. Obviously BFB. And the last one, I believe, is called the ZOMG. I think it's just literally called the Oh my god, because it's just this huge black ball of death that just slowly hovers toward you.
Alright, well.
Luckily, I prepared for such things, and if you notice, I built a whole bunch of missile launchers during the skip. And the reason why is because they have an ability which called the MOAB Assassin, which does a huge amount of damage to blimp-type balloons, and you kind of need them. Otherwise, you end up getting quickly overwhelmed by just the sheer number of those things that come out in the final waves of Hard and Impossible, respectively. And for Impossible especially, that's sort of like the sort of difficulty where you have to kind of come back where you have actual monkey dollars to kind of spend on upgrades and agents. Otherwise, you're probably going to die very quickly, because Impossible is basically hard, but you only have 1 life, so you can't let a single balloon through.
That is pretty impossible.
It's one of those ones where you have to be really experienced and kind of know the layout, and kind of think, okay, this tower works really great on this level, and this position is like really, really optimal. So it kind of encourages you to replay the levels on the higher difficulties as well.
What is that thing flying around?
Ah, that's the Phoenix. I upgraded my wizards to be maximum fire wizards. And their special ability is the ability to summon a Phoenix, which behaves in much the same way as the normal aircraft tower. And it just kind of circles around for a few seconds, and it shoots at whatever is in front of it at the time.
Ugh.
Very, very handy. If you have a bunch of those, you can make mincemeat if you find yourself in a position where you're being quickly overwhelmed.
I've got to be honest, I'm kind of suffering from a cold right now, although when am I not, and I'm a little bit drowsy today. But this is forcing my brain to go into, like, I've gone past the regular 10% we humans are allowed to achieve. Now I'm on 11, and things seem all too real.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the late game of this game works. It's kind of a slow burn, but then when it ramps up to this point, that's when things start getting crazy. And some of the level designs as well really make you scratch your head and think, how the fuck am I going to do this? Because there are some really challenging level layout, and this is one of the first ones you come across in the game typically. So it gets way more complicated than this. It's so satisfying just watching all those balloons pop, but unfortunately, you will be soon seeing my untimely end, but not before I show you the ZOMG.
Okay.
Luckily, it's only 1, and I think we got enough here to be able to take care of it if I spam the missile launcher's special ability. But we'll see.
Alright, Volk, pretty much the end of the episode now, so closing thoughts, oh my god.
Yeah, like I said, don't mess around. We're gonna throw out all the stops at it. But yeah, Bloons TD. It's a game that's definitely very simple by today's standards, but then again, it's a Flash game. It was a little bit it has to be kept simple in order to actually load proper and within the time frame of a year. But what it offers is a simple yet incredibly fun experience. It's something you could jump into very easily and just play to your heart's content. It's incredibly fun. It's a great gateway game into tower defense in general. And yeah, this is where I meet my untimely end. Unfortunately, I didn't build enough of the right tower.
Oh,
so,
it's fine, it's fine. So yeah, guys, that was Bloons TD5. Thank you very much for watching. Next month will be Halloween-themed games, so please, by all means, leave us some spooky game suggestions. And we'll see you next time for more NTom and Volk Spot a PC. Bye-bye!